Welcome back again, boys and girls, to another lesson with Miss Brown. We are not in school, but we can still learn, right? So get your writing books and let's get ready to head up. So I have Olivia here with me and I have Lennox here with me. They are at home until further notice. And we are going to be working on something today called a KWL chart. A KWL chart is a way that you can organize information as you read. It helps you to think about what you already know about a topic, what you want to know about a topic, and what you learned. So at the top of your page, make sure you have enough space because we're going to be doing a whole chart. I want you to write the letters KWL, and then I want you to write the topic, which is rats. Okay, so at the top, KWL and rats. And the K stands for what you already know about a topic. So think about what you've already heard, maybe what you've already read about rats. We're going to be thinking and talking about this before we actually read. Then we're going to be thinking about what do we want to know about rats. Okay, what do you want to know about a rat? And then after you listen to the story that we're going to be doing today, I want you to write down and think about what you learned. Okay, so Lennox, is there anything that you already know about rats?
Yeah.
What?
Rats have very good hearing.
Okay, so you think they have very good hearing. So Lennox says that he thinks that rats have very good hearing. Okay, that sounds about right. And Livy, anything that you know about rats?
I know they can chew through cement.
How do you know they can chew through cement?
Because I remember when we had it was a mouse,
Mm-hmm.
and it kept getting in our house, and we were trying to figure out how it can.
Nice and loud. Mm-hmm.
And so Mommy called a person to figure out where it was coming from, and he saw that there was a little hole in the wall, and the mouse had chewed through the cement and got in.
Okay,
outside.
and I remember that very clearly. We were trying to figure out how was this mouse getting into our house. And the man that came, he actually saw that there was a little hole that the rat or mouse bored through from outside, and his teeth were so sharp he was able to gnaw, and make a tunnel all the way into our house. So he was able to fill up the hole, and we didn't have a mouse problem anymore. Okay? All right, so what I want you to, at this point, I want you to press pause and write as many things as you can think about rats under the word no. Alright, so you should have a list of items under your no column, and then the W stands for what you want to know. So one thing I would like to know is that I think that rats are kind of dirty, but I want to know if they are dirty and do they spread diseases. Okay, Lance, anything you want to know about rats?
I want to know what rats do.
What rats do? Anything you want to know, Olivia?
I would like to know what rats eat.
Okay, Olivia says she wants to know what rats eat. Okay, so I'm going to pull our chart down so we have some time to think about these. So under the no column, you should write what you already know about rats. So they chew through cement. And Lang said they have very good hearing. Okay, and then these are some things that we want to know. Olivia said she wants to know what do rats eat. You think they eat cheese? Because that's what they show on the cartoons. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I want to know, do rats spread diseases? So just think about if there are any questions that you want to know about a rat. And then as we're reading, your questions might be answered. So this reading strategy tells us what we already know, activates our prior knowledge. What do we already know about something? What do we want to know? And as we're listening, we can see if these questions get answered. And then at the end, we're going to write what we learned. So the story that we're going to do today is called HeroRats, Rats Who Save Lives. And it turns out that rats are not just nasty creatures that are rodents and a pest. They can actually save a life. In some countries, they have something called landmines. When different countries are having wars with one another, they have to think of strategies to try to kill the opposing army. So what some armies would do is that they would actually bury explosives under the ground so that when the opposing army comes and either rolls their tanker or walks over the landmines that are buried underground, big explosion, and then they die. Okay, so the problem with this is that it's good for war, I guess, but the problem of this is that when the wars are over and there's now peace in these countries, the explosives are still buried there. These landmines are still buried there underground. So if there are children playing or if there are farmers who want to farm, they don't realize that these landmines are there and that they're actually losing limbs and they're actually dying. Okay, so this is a really serious problem. So this book, HeroRats, Rats Who Save Lives, is all about people who train rats in these countries to sniff out these explosives. It's very cool. What I want you to do is I want you to go to Raz Kids. I put the story in your account under activity. I want you to listen to the story, HeroRats. And as you're listening, see if any of your want questions are answered. And also make a note of what you've learned. Okay, so after you listen to a page, press pause and maybe jot down some things that you learned that you didn't know before. Okay, and then listen some more. If there are any questions that are answered, press pause. Write response to your questions. And then at the end of listening to it, come back, and then I don't get to hear what you put down yet, but you'll get to hear some things that we learned as we were listening. Okay, so hopefully you have some great things that you learned as you were reading, and then maybe some of your questions were even answered. So these were 2 questions that we had. We had, what do rats eat, and do rats spread disease? So Lennox, was that first question answered? What do rats eat?
Yes.
What did they say rats like to eat?
Rats like to eat bananas and peanuts.
Okay, so they said that as a treat, when they do a good job, rats like to eat bananas. So I'm going to write the word bananas and peanuts. Okay, and a question that I had was, do rats spread disease? So Libby, did the story HeroRats, did it talk about rats spreading disease?
No.
Okay, did they talk about disease though?
Yes.
What did they say?
They said that a disease called tuberculosis, a scientist with a microscope, it would take 1 day to test 40 people, but a rat, it would take 7 minutes to test 40 people.
Okay, so it seems like for doctors to detect if somebody has tuberculosis, it would take a really long time, but for rats, it would take a shorter time. Okay, so I'm going to write up here that they can detect or find disease. So these are 2 things, 2 of my wants that were answered, and actually new information. What do rats eat? Bananas and peanuts. And do rats spread disease? It didn't tell us that they spread disease, but it did tell us that they can detect or find diseases, tuberculosis. That's pretty cool. So what I want you to know is under this learn section, I want you to write some things that you've learned. I'm going to put a new spreadsheet up here, and then Olivia and Lex are going to tell me some things that they learned, and then we'll see if they compare. Okay, so my kids love this text, HeroRats. They enjoy finding out all the cool things that they can do. So here are some things that we found. Okay, so Lance, what was the first thing that we found? What did you found?
Keen sense of smell.
So keen means a very sharp sense of smell. So they have a really good sense of smell, which is important for their job. Okay. What else, Livy?
Rats can be about 3 feet long.
Do you know how long that is? If you could get a ruler that has 12 inches, that's a foot. So that's like, this is probably 1 foot. So 1, 2, 3. This is how big they can be.
3 rulers.
Yeah, bigger than a cat, I think. All right, what else did we learn about rats?
Rats taught to walk on a leash.
Rats can be taught to walk on a leash just like a dog. And then one more thing that we learned.
Rats like to set off landmines.
So I wouldn't have thought this. I just assumed that some rats must have died while they were searching for the landmines, but they say that they are too light. I think they weigh less than...
And the landmines.
They weigh less than the landmines. I think it was less than 3 pounds. So they're too light when they're walking across. They said they never lost a rat. That's pretty cool. So there's some really interesting facts about rats. So what I want you to do now is that you already listened to the text, okay? I want you to now go ahead and read out loud the text. If you can record yourself reading, that will be great because I can actually hear you reading. So remember to work on that accuracy, reading exactly what you see, not sticking in words, not taking out words. Once you're done with the reading portion, I want you to do the comprehension questions for this activity. Okay, so just to wrap up, KWLs are a way to activate your thinking about a topic before you start to read. Ask questions so you actually have a purpose for reading. And at the end, to write what you've learned to help with your understanding and to help you remember. Okay, so thank you for joining us today. I hope that you learned something new, fun, and interesting. And I will see you in the next lesson. Bye.